What's going on? I wanted to do a video. I'm going to be doing a series of videos on grade F through A neighborhoods. So I'm not going to go too much into detail on grade D because basically a grade D neighborhood is very close to in the range of a grade F neighborhood, which is pretty much uh, the worst neighborhood you could possibly live in, right? So it's in between that and then a grade C neighborhood, which is like kind of in the middle, obviously, middle of the road type of neighborhood. So a lot of what a grade D neighborhood is a moderate, or let's just say a marginal version of a grade F neighborhood. So a prerequisite for this video would be watching my video on a grade F neighborhood because basically I'm not going to explain everything in detail as I did in the grade F neighborhood, as well as pretty much any video on different grades, uh basically going further, because it's basically just look at that video as a foundational video. So basically a grade D neighborhood is a neighborhood, and then here's the important thing. Why am I doing this? Why is this important? Well, just like I talk about self-improvement as far as an individual perspective, right? Well, every basically part of life or even society has different levels of perfection. And when it comes to real estate, even if you're just thinking about just you're going to buy a property for you and your family, or you're thinking about becoming a beginner investor, these are foundational blocks that will help you kind of see things coming. Even if you're just living in a neighborhood and you kind of figuring out, should you move, if is your neighborhood declining or it's upgrading. This these videos will kind of help you kind of reference. All right. So um basically a grade D neighborhood. Okay, what does that look like? What is a grade D? On the thumbnail of this video, it's a town called Riverdale, Illinois. It's close to the town I grew up, which is Dalton, Illinois. It has some similarities, but Riverdale would be more of a grade D neighborhood. Now the reason, it's not that I hate Riverdale or anything like that. Even though, because like Dalton and Riverdale has some type of rivalry and whatnot, but it's not that. It's Riverdale. I'm gonna show some slides because, as I stated before, a lot of things, as far as, I'll just run it down real quick. A lot of things as far as a grade D neighborhood is very similar to grade F, is where the infrastructure of the public works is kind of lacking and marginal. And grade F is just pretty much almost non-existent, like pretty much like Gary, Indiana. You drive around and you got potholes. You have a lot of vacant homes, because basically the monies for budget and being able to upkeep a city, the lack of funding as far as tax dollars, or even government corruption is very high. So it's not a lot of work being done because it's no funds of hardly available or budget available to do it, and or just just mismanagement. Okay, so when it comes to a grade D neighborhood, you have somewhat um issues with that. You have some issues with that. Okay, meaning that it's not as bad as far as the infrastructure, but it is some infrastructure problems. uh I won't even say some, it'll be like a lot, but it's not as bad as a grade F neighborhood. It's like, okay, should what if I had to pick between living in, let's just say, Gary, Indiana, or Riverdale, I would choose obviously Riverdale. I mean, come on, like it's a step up, you know. A lot of times people in Gary, Indiana, they move to Maryville, which is the town away, or Hobart, because it's like it's not like a rich neighborhood. It's just a step up, you know. Maryville would be kind of like a C neighborhood. So this is all in grades and in different levels of I would just say perfection. Okay, you know. So when I get to B and A, you'll see what I'm talking about, and definitely see. So anyway, going back to infrastructure and grade D neighborhoods, uh, you have basically a lot of areas where you got potholes. They'll fill them in more than a grade F neighborhood. Like, man, this place isn't. You drive around Gary, man, you'll blow your whole god doggone suspension up. I got $400 in suspension parts just sitting in my car right now, waiting to go to uh, get them repaired. Like, I even think that I ain't gonna say it's a conspiracy, but god dog, I mean, it's almost like they don't even want you having a car. They want you, a lot of what you see also in D and F neighborhoods. You see a lot of people walking around because I'm gonna tell you, when you see a neighborhood that a lot of people are walking around or riding a bike, that's not a good sign. That's a sign that you're living in or you're driving through a grade F and grade D neighborhood, because that is an indication of unemployment, lack of money, because they're not driving a freaking bike or riding a bicycle or walking because they want to and they're trying to do exercise. They're doing that shit because they gotta fucking survive. Like, I mean, I got a bike. I got a bike. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like that shit is like a fucking backup. I mean, like it, you know what I'm saying? Like, to be honest, you know, I'm looking for another vehicle, but this shit is real. Like, if you go through any neighborhood and you see a bunch of people walking and riding bikes, the frequency, depending on the frequency, is a grade F and grade D neighborhood. Okay, that's a bomb drop moment. Hold on, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, if you see that, I don't care. I don't even care if it, race is unimportant in that. I'm not just talking about in your head. I know this is, I'm a black guy and it's, black channel or whatever. You got in your head, you just see a whole bunch of black men walking and riding bicycles. No, I'm not talking about race here. This is universal. You could go to any town in America, you see a bunch of people walking around riding bicycles, okay, or even scooters or you know, like ATV vehicles and shit. Like, I'm talking about, like, you can tell this ATV vehicles not their like secondary or hobby mode of transportation. It's their main mode of transportation. Definitely a sign of a D and F grade neighborhood. Make no bones about it. Okay. So that being said, you you see signs of trash, a lot of trash on the ground. That's definitely Definitely a sign. Even though you will see that also in a C grade neighborhood, that's just an indication that basically there are some businesses, people, scumbags drive through neighborhoods, they go to gas stations, whatever, stores, and they just throw shit out the vehicle. Um, Depending on the level of prestigiousness around, whether it be people that just, basically in the morning or when they come home, or some people that stay home, they go outside of their house and then they sweep the trash away. I'll never forget, even when I was living with my late sister, and basically, I would say, yeah, Country Club Hills, Illinois is, I would say, kind of a B-ish, C-ish neighborhood. I remember seeing a guy just kind of waking up in the morning, and he would get a garbage bag, and it was like a road that was heavily traveled. He would just pick the trash up and then put it in the garbage, just so you can make sure this area didn't have a bunch of trash in it. Like, unfortunately, and this is just a sidebar, but it's very much true. um and it kind of goes into perfection, or neighborhood pride, or community pride, or city pride. A lot of what has to be done, whether it be self-policing, whether it be picking up trash, a lot of things you have to do on a certain level is a level of volunteerism. Because every I mean, like, the concept of just having the city public works or police or fire department doing everything all the time is just not practical. It's not realistic. You are going to have to, quote unquote, help a neighbor out, or do some things that's needed in your town, to be helpful, because let's just face it, you got neighborhoods that's Johnny on the spot. They expensive neighborhoods, usually B and A neighborhoods. Yeah, they're on things Johnny on the spot, but you got some neighborhoods that just need more help than others. So a lot of times, when it comes to stuff like that, it's just a lot of people that just ain't doing anything, or you have just, a lot of abandoned houses. Ain't nobody there to do anything. So of course it's gonna be trash. Of course it's gonna be overgrown lawns, broken windows, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, because it's literally just vacant houses. There's nobody there. There's no families there. A lot of times they're not paying taxes, which goes into the next tax roll, where the house comes for sale, and then you get new people in, which is pretty good, or could go good or bad. But usually it's a good thing, because the taxes are, some of those monies are recouped, and somebody else gets the opportunity to uh, basically fix that property up, or resell it, or even just resell it as is. So, uh, you know, the whole, like, infrastructure, public works is definitely declining. A neighborhood that's a D neighborhood is definitely have a high unemployment rate. Um, all of these things are statistically, of what I know, as far as in my locality, of places where I grew up, like Riverdale in Illinois, in the 80s and 90s, was actually a grade C neighborhood, but it declined. Basically, once white flight occurred, it started declining. I will show slides of what a grade D town, why I say Riverdale, Illinois, is one of those towns, as an example, as a case study of why, basically, I would say it's a grade D neighborhood. So I will show those in, not too far away, but basically it's basically infrastructure as well as the actual, just like, vacant homes, and also the crime is heavy in crime. It's not as heavy as a grade F neighborhood, but it could very much be a situation where it's a lot of shooting, a lot of criminal activity. Because, like I say, you got to look at it like this: if you got a grade D neighborhood, if you're living in a grade D neighborhood, or you possibly thinking about investing or buying some property in a grade D neighborhood, basically it can go one or two different ways. It can go as far as up, as far as an upgraded neighborhood where it goes from D to C, or it can actually just go from more D to F. So you would have to look at things as far as, is this neighborhood gonna go from D to F, or is it gonna go from D to C? A lot of times it goes in a decline and it gets worse. Um, and then also it's other towns and neighborhoods around it to just kind of lift it up. In the case of Riverdale, I will say that it's more of other towns around that are lifting it up. But the problem with Riverdale is, I'm gonna just go open up an actual. I'll just go to Realtor.com and actually show what Riverdale actually looks like, and you'll see for yourself. So Riverdale is in Cook County. Cook County is what you hear me whenever I talk about Chicagoland real estate. I always mention Cook County, and the reason why I mention Cook County is because Cook County is basically the biggest county in the Chicagoland area. It is like basically where Chicago is. Chicago is in Cook County. Okay, so um, basically, I'm just gonna show you real estate since I'm actually talking about neighborhoods. And I'm talking about neighborhoods. Yeah, mostly part of it is real estate. Okay, so let me show a screen and actually show you what Riverdale kind of looks like. All right, so actually, I'm gonna go into Riverdale. I put in Cook County because that's what I do. When I search, I just search for what's available. All right, so as you can see, this is Riverdale. Okay, Riverdale, Illinois. Just to, I'll just put it in the map. I'll show you a map as well. All right, so Riverdale is actually in the south suburbs of Chicago. Let me show this screen as well. Let me also, I'll go back to um, that slide. Let me show this one here. So this is Riverdale, pretty much Illinois. This is different cities and stuff. I mean, different pictures, but it's primarily an African American town. In the 80s and 90s, it was like majority white. Well, it actually was like kind of, I think it was kind of like a mix up, because I moved in south suburbs in the mid 80s. When I moved to Dalton in 87, I remember Riverdale mostly being black. As far as it was quite a few white people, but it was mostly black. But by the time the late 90s, white flight occurred, and it was just mostly black people. So um, it's primarily centered. That's a terrible map. Um, this is one thing that's good about Riverdale. I just can't, I don't want to be negative Ned. This is the thing that you need to understand. And this is also even with Gary, right? This is what you have when you're talking about, this is why it's called Riverdale actually. It's called Riverdale because it goes through the Calumet River. The Calumet River goes all throughout the South Chicagoland. It goes actually throughout Illinois, and it's like a river, um basically kind of like river system. It goes through Chicago. It goes through different parts of the South and western suburbs. I mean, basically, you could fish. You can fish and actually even boat. Um, along this river here, and then you actually have houses that are off of Riverdale. So even this being, like kind of a grade D city is a thing that you don't understand, that you need to understand about also, as far as looking at neighborhoods. Well, you might like be like, look, this is a couple ways people look at it. Usually people that have a consumer mindset, meaning, or just basically they're not an investor, they just, average everyday, John, or Jane consumer. They have the vantage point that, oh, this neighborhood is so unsafe, it's so terrible, it's this, and yada yada yada. Well, here's the deal. This is the thing about Riverdale, Illinois. Um, the fact that you have all of this infrastructure, and you have this river surrounding it. That's why it's called Riverdale. And you have trains, and you have basically an intermodal system that also feeds through Riverdale, because river barges that transport raw materials, trash, um, goods, they go through this river. They travel through this river. So when a lot of the white people left, they are the ones that helped build all of this shit. To be, let's just keep it real, and it's still there. And the thing about it is, a lot of them are it's quite a few individuals that families and stuff that they still live there. I will open up demographics map of Riverdale to put data to what I'm talking about. But it's still white people that live in Riverdale. And as well as, a lot of times, this is what you fail to realize when I be talking. Like, you gotta really understand the whole meat and potatoes of this. Um I guess I can just, yeah, I can go deeper into the rabbit hole here, and then just go to the demographic site. So a lot of times, even grade F neighborhoods as well as grade D neighborhoods, you might look at it from a perspective of, oh, it's so terrible or it's so bad, right? Well, one thing about Riverdale, as well as being a grade D neighborhood as well as a grade F, even with white flight, white people still own a lot of those properties. A lot of investment companies, real estate companies, whether it be REITs, whether it be private investment groups, or as well as public investment groups like BlackRock and so on and so forth, they still own these properties in bulk. They still own a lot of these properties. Okay, so you might look at it like, oh, all these black people, they live here, but they have mortgages, A lot of them have mortgages. Okay, and I'm gonna let me just share my screen so I don't have to just keep going back from different angles or whatever. Let me just share my whole screen. So a lot of the companies basically they own these properties, whether you look at it from where the banks, because they have mortgages on these properties, and they're paying black people might live there, but they're paying mortgages, and they're paying basically bankers with back money with interest on these properties, so they still own them. See, you guys don't look at it from you you don't look at it too deep. You just glance at the surface. Once you pull back the layers and everything, a lot of these communities that you might think are so black, or all the black people live here, well, they live here, but they don't own these properties. A lot of these properties, like a lot of different neighborhoods, people just live there. They're paying a mortgage, therefore um you know they're paying a bank rent, basically, in essence. So they still own these properties. They never stop owning it. It's like they might have left as far as in spirit or actual physically left, but they have not left on paper. You get what I'm saying? So you know don't get it twisted. A lot of times people get it twisted and they don't understand that, okay, well, yeah, black people might live here, and white flight occurred, but they still own those assets, however way you want to look at them. And and depending on where you live, okay, in the United States, this is either very, very much affordable. Okay. These houses, you could just see the listings, right? $49,000. Well, let's just look at these are what they're on the market for, or whatever, as far as what's pending as far as sale. Let's remove the contingent and pending listings. Okay, you get a just about understanding. These are still even okay. A lot of these houses were about half this price, or even a third of this price, 2 to 3 years ago. But it's still affordable compared to, um, let's just say, most of the people that live on the East Coast, and even West Coast, and even out down south, in some parts, right? Still affordable. Nobody wants to live in cold ass Illinois, right? Um, and then people have their crux about Chicago. I get it. Chicago is rough. And the thing about Riverdale, going back to here, okay. One thing about what Riverdale is that's it's similar to Chicago as well. I mean, to Dalton, Illinois as well. It's close to Chicago. Actually, it's parts of Riverdale that is connected to Chicago. Um, they actually, it's like, once you transition from Chicago, Riverdale is like the next town, the next actual city, small city. And it's kind of like why Riverdale is very, very rough as well, because the part of Chicago that people ever even heard of Chicago, if you ever heard of the Wild Hundreds, well, that's connected to Riverdale. you know. So yeah, like the Wild Hundreds of Chicago, it's called the neighborhoods are Roseland, West Pullman, um, Pullman area. It's they're gentrifying those areas, but it's so big and vast and of an area. It's too much to. It's kind of like the Bronx in New York. It's such of a monster to tame. It might take 10 to 20 years to actually tame the Wild Hundreds. So Riverdale is actually connected to the quote unquote wild hundreds. Let me, because you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay. So uh I'll have to kind of, you know, give you a picture of what I'm talking about. No. So you can kind of see what the hell I'm talking about. Okay. So this is pretty much the wild hundreds. Okay. This is an actual map of the wild hundreds. So here, all of this here. So I don't know if, yeah, I guess you can see where I'm pointing, but yeah, uh, this is actually this over here over east is mostly where a lot of Hispanics are, Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, uh, just a lot of people from Latin America, South America. And then west over here, Roseland, West Pullman, Morgan Park is a pretty nice area, pretty good area, and as well as Beverly, definitely Washington Heights, um, and you have Roseland. Okay, Roseland, West Pullman area. This is the wild hundreds, and as you can see, the pictures on the left, you got Roseland Hospital. It's like one of the worst hospitals in the Chicagoland area. You you go to Roseland Hospital 9 times out of 10 with something like a bullet wound to the freaking torso or something. You might not survive that hospital. Okay, it's like it's hospitals that in Chicago where you go in, you might not come out. It's a strong chance. Like it's really wild. Okay. This is like 85 octane um heaven. I mean, it's really rough. It's some isolated areas that basically it's sketchy at best, or it's not so bad, but basically yeah, this is the Bronx of the South Chicago area, I would say. It's like the Bronx. It's just a big compound full of just unemployment, poverty. This is how it used to look. This is Roseland in the looks like the 80s and 70s. A lot of businesses. They had a big stretch of businesses. It used to be like that in the 90s too, but you know, even the businesses that were there, they were mostly Indian, Pakistani, Arabian, Chinese, Koreans. It wasn't hardly any black people that had these businesses. That's hint hint wink wink. So yeah, I mean, this is why this is the grade D neighborhood, is one of the reasons. Okay, it's literally surrounded by a whole bunch of people from the wild hundreds and so on and so forth. So going back to Riverdale, one of the things about the listings that they remove some of these listings. So I'm gonna actually I'm gonna put the pending and pending contingent offers, because one of the things that they did, they trying to, so Riverdale, just like any other town, is basically is actually they removed those listings, which is good because, well, yeah, because they were selling these homes here. They're called pace setter homes, and these are like old town homes um that, uh, it's like, it's really yeah, kind of run down, and it's like living in the projects. They still have them for sale too. These are what was for sale. It's actually for sale now, and I'll actually pull this up on the map so you actually can see what what's going on. And this hands down, like if some people's was like, man, they live in Riverdale, they from Riverdale, and they think I'm full of shit. Well, okay, this is Pace Setter Homes. This looked like this, maybe slightly better when I was in high school in the 90s. Because basically people that live in Riverdale, they went to my high school as well because it was part of the same district. So this is the Pace Setter Homes. Okay, Google Map is your friend. You don't even have to really go to an actual location. You can just pull up the street view. You can see what's going on. Okay, so yeah, this is like probably kind of the worst part of Riverdale. This the Pace Setter Homes. Now they did have these listings on Realtor.com, but they I guess some people bought them out because yeah, it's a real estate boom still. It's still a real estate boom. I mean, people talking about recession and bullshit like that. No, it's a lot of fucking money. There's a lot of corporations are so vexed to make profits. They put a squeeze on real estate. That's why real estate markets are the real estate prices are on the rise, and the money is still there. If anything, more money is being pumped into it. Okay, so yeah, so this is pretty much one of the reasons why Riverdale has those issues, right? But let's go back to this river here in the actually what's actually going the pluses for Riverdale. Um, you have a boating marina. They do parties. They have boat parties. I mean, you can actually still live. See, and then here's another way you want to look at things. Okay, I live in Gary, Indiana, right? It's other people that live in Gary, Indiana, and they make money. They have a job. They're gainfully employed. They have gainful savings. I mean, they might live in Gary, but they can travel. They have, decent vehicles. They have, it's all in how I mean, other people around you might be really struggling, but and you might have to put up a lot of shit, but then it's a low cost of living. I mean, like these people, they got a boat. They have multiple boats. They can go boating on the river. They got a golf course not too far away. It's not far from the loop, probably about 25, 30 minutes from downtown. I mean, it's a lot of pluses when it comes to, you know, even just living in a grade D neighborhood. You got to look at the pluses. You know, the thing about it is, like I say, because basically because of I would just say because of Chicago being so close, being surrounded by all of that, it's just very difficult. It's an uphill climb. But let's go back to the real estate. uh these houses are, it's a very low entry level, and pretty much um you can it's Riverdale's not that bad as, let's just say, some parts of Chicago. Or let's just say if you had to choose between living in the Wild Hundreds or living in Riverdale, Riverdale is actually that step up. A lot of people that actually lived in the Wild Hundreds, they moved to Riverdale. Riverdale was their first, um, you know, upgrade to actually living in the suburbs, and they left or they stayed. So yeah, you got a better situation living in Riverdale, and then you can move further somewhere else later, whatever. But they have some very nice homes in Riverdale as well. have a lot of buildings. Like this is actually a 3 unit building that was sold for $85,000. Okay. The math on here is really good. Okay, this will be like this is like a good entry level commercial building. Like if you ever wanted to become a landlord, you bought this building, it's a fixer upper most likely, right? Now you in a situation where, let's just say, a couple of these are 2 bedrooms, one is a 3 bedroom. Now you in a situation that you got rents that are going up and people already getting used to paying rent, higher rents. Now you don't have to, pay or rent out an apartment for 700 anymore. The standard now is like $1,200. Now you can ask for 1,200 to, at the very least, $1,000 um for for basically rent, you know and you got 3 units, and basically you can do combination of rent or even Airbnb. I mean, this is like, don't get it twisted. Even if I say grade D, even grade F, you it's still at play. It's just basically, grade D, according to my blog, according to what I wrote a long time ago, grade D neighborhoods is moderate crime, unemployment, moderately difficult to fix and flip, collect rent payments, and there are some rundown properties. Okay, so basically, it's it's all in what you can handle. Some people are more bougie than others. Some people, they just won't tolerate certain things. I get it. They won't they won't tolerate living in any community. I had a one of my ex-girlfriends, she said she would never live in anything substandard like that. She would never even consider it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like all in how you look at things, right? Thought it was kind of, I don't know. Like, to me, I don't like paying for rent. Like, I don't like making nobody else rich unless I'm already rich. Like, if I'm rich, then okay, cool. It's no big thing. But if I'm just making somebody else rich based off of my preferences, I'm just not really cool with that. I'm all about enrichment, and you know making other people rich is not the best move. I just don't agree with that. I wonder what she thinks about that now. But yeah, she was like, I'd rather live in the studio. It can increase my rent to $1,000. But I would not live in no, like, sketchy neighborhoods, or you know deal with all of that stuff, that as far as crime and poverty and unemployment, people everywhere you go asking you for change, because yeah, you're gonna have to deal with that. Definitely, that's going down in Riverdale. It's definitely going down. uh I remember I had to, basically, I went to my dojo was in Riverdale, and one of my one of the members of my dojo, he had his family had a family fight with their, like, neighbors in Riverdale. Like, it was like a strag family fight off. Like, it was rough, man. Riverdale goes down. It goes down, every now and again, quite often, you know. But The positives is they got nice homes. Like this one's just it's rent ready. You can make money, and it's a lot of opportunity. A lot of opportunity. Even this one is multi-unit building. Look like a two flat with a mother-in-law apartment. I mean, it it's some people, man, that got some nice cash flow going. You just gotta imagine the cash flow something like this will give. You get some people, some decent people that you verify that they have a job. They just so happen to need an apartment, and you got 3 units that you can make money off of, man. You just got you just got a whole bunch of cash. I'm thinking about getting into landlording. um that cash flow, man. Just thinking about just a whole bunch of cash on the table. Like, you got about 3 buildings, and every month, so let's just say some of your tenants, they don't have, I would have my stuff set up, man. I'm a techie. I'll have rent payments automatic, where they just pay with their debit card or credit card, even if they use their bank account or whatever, ACH debit. But let's just say it's an emergency situation, they just need to pay cash. Hey, man, come ride through, collect my cash payment, get them their credit, give them a receipt for the bill, their rent paid. And then that's like, three that day that you collected cash, and you got, 3-4 grand in your pocket, because you bought a couple buildings and you did the right thing, like, 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, you know, that's just that's a beautiful thought, man. And that's actually people's reality. There's people that actually own 10 buildings. They actually have 10 buildings. Uh, you know, they got 30 units. I mean, just imagine their monthly, you know, cash flow, how much cash that they actually have in hand on any given time. Just think about the money that's on their table, that they have to count out, um, and then just even think about it like this. They got a safe, and they have to have a safe because they got all of this cash that's coming in, and they can't necessarily make it to the bank or even want to make it to the bank. Just think of how that type of life, um of actually having buildings and stuff like that. It just kind of appealing. Now that's the positive side. The downside, everybody knows the downside. They don't pay. You get some bum tenants. They damage your property, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I mean, shout out to the landlords, man, making that money. So, yeah, I think that I pretty much covered this one. This one is pretty much, I would say, covered. Now you kind of have an understanding of what a grade D neighborhood is.
Fucking hate coming here. I'm your brother, you my brother. You know what I'm saying? Let's walk this way. Is that Prince or King? Come here, Prince. What's today's mathematics?
Hey, yo, no disrespect, but we ain't in all of that, son.
Build, destroy. To build is to elevate the mentalities of self. and those around self. To add positive energy to every nation. To build, you must first start from the root, which is the knowledge foundation, and add on to the highest peak. To destroy is to eliminate and destroy any and all negativity that enters my cipher of supreme harmony.
Peace, God.
Peace, God.
Come on, son. Love it.
Dave Bing and his man, and the governor, y'all problem is y'all just sitting up there collecting a check. If y'all really want to run the city of Detroit, come around here in every block of the city of Detroit, look through these houses. If they ain't no good, tear their down so people can stop finding dead relatives in these damn houses and pay these damn Detroit cops what they supposed to earn for being out here protecting the city of Detroit. If not, put my in office. I'll show you how to damn run the city of damn Detroit, and I don't know nothing about it. But I learned quick, fast, and hurry to get y'all sorry up out of here and do the right damn thing. That's why the hell the city of Detroit. That's why people don't want to come to the city of Detroit, because y'all sorry getting off your and doing if it was y'all damn family members, y'all to do the right damn thing. So kiss my black to get off the office. Bye. Now. We call
Tell me your name.
Oh, my name?
That was good.
Is Melinda Brown Duncan, baby. Now, come find me. I'll show you what's better to run the city of Detroit. The sorry